fellow book lovers, my name's Anna and this is Bluebell and Joe. I'm a mother who's passionate about children's books. My daughter also loves books when she's not lobbing them out the window. So the theme of this video is world religions and spirituality, and I'm actually going to be going a bit deeper, reviewing just one book, which is this Usborne Lift the Flaps, See Inside World Religions book. But there will be a bonus book at the end, which is just a stunner, so stay tuned for that. So the front cover of the book shows the festival of Diwali. Fabulous illustration here, very fun and colourful, and they talk more about that later in the book. So before I begin, I just want to say that the authors of this book have consulted experts from the LSE Faith Centre. So it's very sensitively done, very inclusive, and behind every flap is a wealth of information. So that's why I actually just wanted to do a review with this one book, because it is so rich and in-depth. So on this first page, because this book is an internet-linked Usborne book, it gives you some of these websites here to go and have a look at, which is super helpful. And what is religion is the theme of this page. So it goes through all the different teachers and leaders within many different religions here, and shows some of the places of worship and the architecture. And then we get to some of the sort of more broad questions about religion. Here we have where does the world come from? What are the religious rules? Is one religion better than the other? Now, it does sort of jump into, religious wars and the Crusades. And I remember sort of thinking, steady on, let's not jump straight into the blood and guts of it all. So that was my only criticism about this little moment here, is that it came a bit soon. But otherwise, it sort of covers topics like what people wear for religious festivals. And here you have children asking different questions, and these questions are colour-coded, and when you lift the flap you have the answers that are also colour-coded here as well. So it talks about things like halal and kosher, and whether you are, should we say, more orthodox or liberal with your views. So a really nice, gentle introduction on this first page, what is religion? Now we get to pinpointing different religions of the world. So this is a fantastic spread. So, for example, here you have Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Jainism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and then others. And what it does is on each page it talks about the sacred text belonging to that religion, key figures, when it was founded, place of origin, how many worldwide followers it has, and then you have here the main symbol of that religion. So one thing to say, this book was published in 2017, so some of the facts and figures are a little bit off. For example, Christianity, it says 2.2 billion followers worldwide. I think we're now up to 2.3. Islam, I know it says here 1.6 billion, and I believe the figure is 1.9. So you might have to do a little bit of looking up and editing, just because this book can't help being of its time. And it's a very interesting way of getting an idea across the world, because you've got different dots here that you can match up with different places. So for example, let's take here, this is Islam showing Hassan II's mosque, which is in Casablanca, Morocco, and here's the yellow dot, and here we are, the yellow dot in the very north of Africa, which shows Morocco as well. And then looking into it, so you've got the symbol here, and the sacred text is the Quran, which we understand, and the key figure is Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, as people of Islam say, when it was founded, place of origin, and again the worldwide followers. Now I thought a really fun exercise to do for perhaps younger children here is to have a look at the symbol behind each religion. And Jainism, you've got the hand here. And Buddhism, you have the wheel with the spokes. Hinduism, you have the Om. And having a look at these others, so you've got two of the oldest religions. You've got Zoroastrianism and Taoism. And then three of the newest religions, Mormonism, Baha'i Faith, and Rastafari. So you can take all of these different symbols and copy them, paint them, explore them, put them all together, create little flashcards. So it's a nice sort of way from just a pictorial perspective of introducing children to how many different religions there are around the world. It also has a little bit here about pilgrims and the journey to sacred places, and a little bit of information here about monks and nuns. Oh, and forgive me, I also forgot to mention Sikhism, which is here as well. So a really great interactive page, very informative, and you can incorporate so many different learning activities with this for all different age groups. So the next page is great fun. It talks about gods and goddesses, and the pictures here are just fantastic. I think any child will really enjoy looking at these different images and also learning the different stories, because you can really go down the fiction road and have fun with all the religious characters as well. So for example, here we have Tefnut and Zolot, Venus, Loki, Athena and Oya. So a real fantastic spread across all different kinds of religions here. And here we have Hinduism. And this is an interesting concept that one can talk about with an older child. It's about avatars. Vishnu has taken earthly bodies called avatars. And it's a useful, interesting topic that you can explore more of. What is an avatar? What does it mean? And here we have a number of other Hindu gods as well. Now the images are just so rich and fun, and I think there's a lot of scope for art projects as well alongside this. And here we have a bit about Shintoism as well. Here we have a bit about the concept of the Holy Trinity, which underpins a huge amount of Christianity, so that's a very useful topic as well. It talks about, very sensitively I might add, it talks about with Sikhs and Muslims how they both prohibit drawing images of God, and it talks about saying that there's just an emphasis on focusing on ideas and teachings rather than images. And here we have the big golden Buddha, which is in a temple in Bangkok in Thailand. I've actually seen this myself. It's magnificent. And it talks about the story of Siddhartha Gautama, who's obviously known as the Buddha. So a gorgeous introduction to a lot of the gods and goddesses and religious characters, so to speak, on this page. Now this page talks about worship and prayer, and we really get a peek inside a lot of the religious buildings and structures. So for example, here, the Sheikh Zayed Mosque in Abu Dhabi, and then you can lift the flaps and have a little peek and see how things go inside. I love this little bit here, people washing before prayers. It talks up here about in the minaret, the call to prayer. And then we have Mecca, of course. And here we have the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral in Bulgaria. And then up here in Mount Kalish in Tibet. And then here we have the Western Wall in Jerusalem. I really like little touches like this. So this flap says many people join in with community worship even if they don't believe in God. So the book is very much inclusive of a more secular approach, perhaps people who identify as Jewish by background and by heritage rather than by religion. And I do find that the book is very excellent at including everyone, so you don't feel alienated. So this next page talks about festivals and celebrations, and its main focus, in fact, is Diwali, which is celebrated every year across India, known as the Festival of Lights. And it's just a wealth of information and great fun, colourful pictures. Can lift the flaps here and investigate inside the buildings and look at some of the stories behind the religious figures of Diwali. So really great fun, very detailed. So next we have stories from world religions, and I thought a great exercise here would be to discuss which stories appear across multiple religions. One of the obvious ones, of course, is the Great Flood. And here we have some information and fab pictures from Noah's Ark. And we have a little bit here about a Hindu version of the story as well. And then going into other parables, we've got an interesting one here about a spider from the Quran and a Bible story here. A lot of you probably know this story. It's found in Buddhism and Hinduism. And it's a story about blind men who've been challenged to describe this animal, and each one describes just the part that they're feeling, and the message behind it is don't lose sight of the bigger picture. So it's a really fun story that you can share with your child. So that's stories. The next page, depending on the age of your child, you can choose to move over it quickly, or I believe it's a very inoffensive, gentle discussion about what religions feel about death. So here we have a Muslim funeral procession, and this is what happens in a Jewish cemetery, and then we have the Mexican Day of the Dead here. And here we have some information about reincarnation. Now this I found very interesting. This is known as the Dharma Chakra, and it's sort of about the 8 steps to enlightenment in the Buddhist faith. So you can lift up each sort of spoke on the wheel. Now I thought a nice idea for this is, with your child, you can have a look here, avoiding anger, lies and gossip. And you can ask the child to pause and reflect if there's been any instances that day or that week where they have felt angry, or maybe they've told a fib, maybe they've talked badly about a school friend. And just to acknowledge it, to shine some light on it, to see it, and to decide, well, is there another way? Can I do better? Putting your effort into thinking and doing helpful things. Ask your child to reflect on, have they done any of those? Can they think of an example of that they've done that day or that week? So I think that's a gorgeous way of introducing, some morals and some deeper thinking and a better way of living from day to day with your child. So I really appreciated and enjoyed that part of this page. And so we come to the final page, which is about religion through the ages. And this sort of discusses a bit more of the timeline of a lot of religions here. So you can see this very famous carving, the goddess figure, and talks about the Goseck Circle in Germany, which is around 4,900 years old, one of the oldest known man-made structures likely to be connected to religion. And you've got talking about the Hindu text here, the Vedas. And you have here talking about the birth of Lao-Tzu and the Buddha, which was all around the same time. And it talks about here the movement of Jewish communities to other parts of the world due to persecution. Got some information about the Quran. And here we have a timeline of Christianity and its various divisions. Now this is a very interesting section. This shows a series of pie charts that predict the spread across the globe in 2050 of all the different religions. And here are your percentages down here. So that's a perfect opportunity to introduce a little bit of math to your child. So that is it. I am so impressed by this book. There is so much information and many opportunities to go down different avenues, from art to math to geography to history to literature, and of course to have a beginnings of an exploration of spirituality and an appreciation for many different religions all over the world. So here comes the bonus book. Are you ready for it? So this book is called A Stone Sat Still. Well, what can I say about this book? It is profound, it is reflective. I find it extremely spiritual, as well as being really visceral and earthy. For me, it's about time, existence, memory, ancestors. It's so much. And when my husband read it, he said a whole bunch of different things that he thought it was about: family, loss, love. It's about all those things. There's a rhythm and flow to the story that makes you feel like you're sort of within the elements. So let's have a look inside. And the stone was dark. We hear a little chipmunk here chilling on the stone. And the stone was bright, and the moon reflecting off the stone at night time. And the stone was loud, a gull breaking a snail. And the stone was quiet, just a little snake chilling out. So that's the flow of the book, and it sort of goes through these opposites each time. The stone was rough to a slug, and the stone was smooth to a porcupine. And here we have the sort of seasonal changes. And again, always the stone, the stone, the stone. The stone is a constant, unmoving, unchanging thing, and yet it's changing all the time. And the stone was a pebble to this moose. And the stone was a hill to this little bug dude. So you get the feel of it. And then, oh, I love this page. So this is, and the stone was a feel and the stone was a smell. And here you have the scents and all of the different animals that have passed through. And you've got some sort of, I think maybe that's a fox, having a good old sniffle and getting a sense of his environment from what's been left on this stone. And then you have this recurring phrase here, and it sat where it sat with the water, grass and dirt, and it was as it was where it was in the world. It is so unassuming and so gentle, and I don't even know how to describe it. There's no words, it's a feeling, and the feeling I get is just one of at oneness and calm and peace when I read this book. So I'll just show you a few more pages. The artwork is very varied. I think they've used a mixture of sort of paper style cut and paste, and you've got watercolour, and you've got wax crayon, and you've got acrylic. It uses every single style that you can see. So it's a real feast for the eyes. And then right at the end, we sort of dial it up a bit. The stone was a memory. So this is a bird flying over the same bit of ocean, and perhaps he used the stone as a landmark, and the cloud is almost in the shape of the stone as well. So you can read into it however much you want. You can go quite sort of physical, or you can go a bit more profound with it. And then this, by the time I got to this page, I was sort of feeling quite emotional. Have you ever known such a place? And this reminds me of some of the very earliest cave drawings, and to me it's obviously a parent and a child. So again, a nod to ancestors about place and memory and loss and eternity. So I paired this with the book about religion because I just feel it's a very gentle, easy way of connecting your child to the bigger feelings and the bigger questions in life. And maybe sort of reading a book like this first puts them in a certain zone before you then discuss various different types of religion. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to purchase any of the books mentioned here, check out the list and the links below. I do receive a small commission for any items purchased, which really supports my channel and helps me bring you more content. So thank you and see you soon.